How's it going? We are here in Rome. You want to get in the thing, or are you good? Whatever you want to do. Yeah. Hello, everybody. We are in Rome with our tea friends over here. Everybody, greetings. Want to give a
My name is Nicholas, and I'm from Italy.
Nice. Very cool.
I'm Ishi. I'm from India.
Very cool. And then
I'm Yoshi. I'm from Germany.
very cool. So this is a European tea meetup. We got Italians, we got Indians living in Italia. Yeah, that's how you say it, right? I was like, yeah. And then Germans also here living. Are you here on vacation, or are you living? Yeah, on vacation. But it all worked out to be able to have everybody here together. So very glad to be able to host everybody and do a little bit of a live stream. Hopefully it is joining. I think it's working. I believe so. People will be joining in just a moment. Yeah, you can join there, so you should be okay to join. Awesome, very cool. So, and then over here we have Marissa, just a little bit off screen, who's looking at just your hand. Just the hand. Who's going to be helping us with the questions. And over here, we recording. Can you give us a face? Did it work?
Yeah.
It did. Okay, there we go. Awesome. So we are here in Italy with all our friends over here. Just one last introduction over here for the phone.
Okay, I'm Nicholas from Italy.
Yeah.
I'm Ishi from India.
And I'm Yoshi from Germany.
Very cool. Awesome. And we wanted to drink. We have a whole table of tea over there, but we decided on the Luya Red Oolong. So we're going to try this. This is one of the teas that is in the Taiwan Oolong box that I made. So in January I went to Taiwan. And originally I didn't know what I was going to do there, but I did like a mystery box. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I know that if I make videos about tea in Taiwan, everyone's going to want some. And so I'm like, I'm just going to hear whatever this mystery box is, that's what I'll get you. And in the end, I found 4 teas, of which this is one of them. It's a red oolong, which is, it's interesting. They started as a red tea, so they pick the leaves, and then they wither them, knead them, kind of like roll them to bruise the leaves, and then put them in a basket or something like that in order to start like oxidizing and fermenting them. And then after about a day, they'll dump them out, and normally that would be the end of it, and they would dry it. But for oolong, they continue forward with another kneading process, and then at the end they roast them. So the result is it kind of has like a roasty, like oolong kind of aftertaste, but it has kind of more of a mouthfeel of a red tea, and it kind of tastes like a red tea, and it comes in these little tiny balls. So very glad to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like how Rome usually is, but we also have a guy just like doing construction right outside.
Yeah, that's usually
it.
Yeah.
I'd say this place reminds me a lot of Beijing.
Same.
Like I was like, you know, they just like constant construction, really narrow streets,
Cars going down
tiny streets,
Chaos everywhere.
chaos.
Yeah.
Well, this is less chaotic than Beijing, but it's still pretty chaotic. And then you turn a corner and there's like a building that's 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
And then everybody is like ignoring it. And then there's like lots of tourists taking pictures of it, and then the regular people are kind of going about their day.
Surprisingly, a lot of jaywalking.
Yeah, a lot of jaywalking, but that's cool. Hey, you know, who owns the roads?
The law is just a suggestion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So we'll start this out. So what's I guess we'll ask our Italian here, who is so you work at a cafe, is that right?
Yeah.
So like, what would you say is like Italian people's taste towards tea? What kind of tea do they order in the cafe?
Mostly they order it's like Assam,
Okay.
so black tea,
Indian black tea.
and also sencha, because they will want to try the famous Japanese teas and
Yeah.
sencha. Sometimes matcha. I have some customer that comes very often, and they also they order every time matcha because they say, okay, I like this one, taste. But when I'm there and I talk to customers, I recommend them to try oolong addition.
Yep.
We have now, and also the shaoyan.
Yep. So there's a lot. So there is some of that tea already here. Like it's just getting here, kind of. Very cool. Like sweet and roasty.
Oof.
That's really good. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Marissa, would you close the windows so
Yeah,
we don't have the
let's-
jackhammer in the background?
Goodness.
But yeah, so it's kind of a lighter color. It's gonna get a little bit darker. Whose cup is whose? This one is mine.
Mine is the one, not the.
This
yeah,
one.
This one.
Okay, so I'll give you a little wash.
Mine's this.
There. This is your wash. There we go. Over here, another wash. Very cool. So here we go. So Marissa's also going to be looking. If we have any interesting questions from the audience, we can share it as well. So you guys, and then so you have there's a lot of sencha. There's a lot of kind of the green teas.
Yeah.
Oolong is kind of new. Have you ever heard anybody drinking pu'er tea?
Yeah, we have with the Shoyang is square.
Yeah.
So they taste it and say, wow, it's pretty nice.
Mhm.
And actually in supermarket they can buy white tea, but yeah, it's like
Okay.
the powder.
Yeah.
So it's not the same taste. So they like, oh, what
Mm.
I drink
Yeah.
all this time.
It's a big difference between the powdered tea and the whole leaf tea.
Yeah.
And you said same in India as well. It's like if you get to the north where they actually have the tea, you
Yeah.
can find the loose leaf tea. But
Yeah.
I think the Indian teas have like more of a market in the West so far than the Chinese teas. Here we go. See, look at that color. That's really nice. We'll take a sniff of the red oolong here.
Oof.
Is it good? Is it good? I like that. That's like, oof. That's what I'm looking for.
Nice.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the tea color over here. Yeah, got a question?
Got a question from Eclectic Trash.
Eclectic trash.
Yeah. Is there more overlap with coffee culture and tea culture in Italy? Like,
Great
do more
question.
people enjoy both rather than one or the other?
Good question.
Can you repeat?
Yeah. Is there more overlap with coffee culture and tea culture in?
Yeah, I think that coffee culture is very strong in Italy
Mm.
because of espresso.
Mm.
So yeah, for tea, just people. I think that it started a couple decades ago
Mm.
when people just try to taste English tea.
Mm.
So they we taste English tea bag, and then recently from my experience, I start to taste real leaf tea, and I said, okay, no, it's totally different from others. So
Yeah.
yeah, for my self, I prefer tea from coffee, but yeah, people in Italy just like more coffee
Yeah,
than tea.
In America, it's almost like there's a fight. Like, you
There's-
know, if you're a coffee person, like you can't be a tea person.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
other way around. Is it like that here? I don't know if it's like
No,
that here.
actually here, no, I saw people that I tried both coffee and tea. Well, I mean, like one day, okay, I drink an espresso, and then the other day, okay, let me taste this tea.
That's good.
So-
That feels healthy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that's just like in general dominance of coffee though, because it's culturally relevant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think there's a nice overlap if you go in, like I mentioned before, like if you go into more of the specialty cultures,
Mhm.
like, because I'm a huge fan of like specialty coffee, specialty just everything. So more people in the specialty coffee communities are very open to drinking like loose leaf tea,
Yeah.
experimenting with different kinds of tea, different origins, different like ways of brewing and
Yeah.
making it.
I like that too because it's like, I think that the people who get a little bit more into the specialty coffee, part of that is recognizing, okay, if you actually get good original material,
Yeah.
you take some time and energy to think how to make it, you get a better result. There are people that like the process of making the coffee,
Exactly.
not just drinking the coffee.
Yeah.
And so for tea, for tea, it's like more making than drinking oftentimes. It's like, you know, how do you get the tea, bringing people together to talk about the tea. That's a big part of the tea culture. What do you guys think of the red oolong?
It's
I think that the roasted,
Yeah.
I can really taste the roasted, like
Yeah.
it's pretty similar to coffee because I can smell the roasting literally because it reminds me to roasted coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah,
If you like this, we could try the 5-time charcoal roasted oolong
Yeah.
as well. That could
Yeah.
be maybe after this one. We'll try some of that because that stuff really, it smells like cigars and like
Wow.
like kind of like very very dark.
Like
yeah.
the pink shui.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's got a lot of that like roasty flavor to it. So by the way, if we're missing your questions, I apologize. We have Marissa over here on the side helping to pick up some questions. Let me know if you ever have any interesting questions. Here we go. We're getting into our
It's
third.
also almost like milky in a sense.
Yeah, it has a really nice mouthfeel. The Taiwanese tea is really known for their oolongs. That's what the Taiwanese do really well. And part of the reason is because oolong is a very complicated tea to make. There's like many steps to making it. And so even if you have leaves that are good leaves, unless you have both the equipment and also the people and the skill to make it, there's a lot of people showing people here the tea color. Unless you have that readily available, it's like not really possible to make good oolong. It's one of the reasons why there's no American oolong or anything like that. You'll occasionally see American, like they'll make black tea or something like that that's from tea grown in America, or they'll make white tea, rarely, but you could do it.
But is it ever any good?
I haven't had any actually that has been good, but I haven't had any from people who are like small growers really trying to make it good. I've only had like
mass.
Mass market,
Tivana or something.
sort of Georgia, sort of like tea bag stuff. Cheers, yeah, I love the red oolong though. This was when I tasted it, I was like, ooh, it's got like some honey flavor in it.
Yeah.
Really just like kind of, and it's also like easy drinking mouthfeel. Right here, we're making this tea for 5 people, so everybody's getting small amounts.
Yeah.
But if you were just drinking by yourself, you can make a big pot of this and drink the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not heavy, so it's easy to drink. So yeah, so for people that don't know on the live stream that may be joining in from the European area, I'm opening up warehouses in Europe, which is why I'm here in Europe, just trying to meet as many tea people as I can. And it's actually, I'm very excited, like not just here in Italy, but like the next stop on the tour, I'm going to Denmark.
Nice.
And we have a couple people in Copenhagen that have already offered to do tea, one at a university. We might do tea in a small tea house in Denmark. In Germany, there are a lot of tea drinkers. There's actually like, I feel like tea drinking culture is actually, in Europe, is actually ahead of where it is in America. Even though it's not hugely popular, I think people have more of a tea culture here. Would you say that's true? I don't know if you know the
Maybe it's tea culture here. It's not particularly present, but I think that if you go more in the north, the tea is more present. Like if you go to Naples, the tea is not present. There, coffee, espresso, only espresso. If you show like. If you ask for an Americano, they won't make it.
No, like, get out! Like, what are you doing here? Like,
Exactly.
I'll you go home, get an Americano when you go home. Here you should drink the espresso. I like that. How did the coffee culture get so big here? Because coffee is not grown in Italy, right?
Yeah, I think for the Arab colonies in the ancient times, so I think for that, maybe they bring coffee. Actually,
for Britain, that was definitely the case, because all the tea came from India, and Kenya and other British colonies. So that makes sense. But I think it's good time for tea to make its comeback. Yes, Marissa.
Question from the live stream: is there in China any coffee culture like in other countries, or is there just tea culture?
That's a great question. There is kind of a growing coffee culture. There's kind of, I think it's similar to like in America or in Europe. There's like regular people, and then there's the sort of craft sort of specialty scene.
Third wave.
The third wave. I was saying, what wave of tea are we on? Are we on like?
I
don't know. Are we
the fifth?
Are we the wave?
Are we the wave?
In China for coffee, there's first of all, they're starting to grow coffee in places in Yunnan where a lot of tea is made. They're also starting to grow coffee, and there's a lot of sort of like Starbucks got very popular, kind of trendy, and now there's like even Chinese brands like Luckin Coffee, which are everywhere. I don't even know if these places make money. They certainly spend a lot of money. Somebody's making money somewhere.
Luckin is one of the fastest
Yeah.
growing coffee
Luckin
companies
is
in the
growing
world.
huge. It's really interesting. Like every time I talk about Luckin Coffee, people are fastest growing company in the world. Chinese coffee person, female CEO. I've
Yeah.
never heard anyone say the coffee's good. It's like no one ever talks about the coffee.
I can confirm that it is not
It
good.
is not good.
Yeah, it's very much just like mass airport coffee.
Yeah, and so it's like that, but that wasn't there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, so even that is a growth. And then within the actual specialty coffee scene, there are, I wouldn't say a lot, but like, I spent time in Beijing, I was an artist, I was a performer. Like the type of people who open specialty coffee shops were kind of in my circle in China. And so you'll find like, on a cool street in Beijing in an interesting part of town, a really tiny store where somebody is making specialty coffee by themselves every day for 3 or 4 customers maximum. And they will have these really tiny shops where they really know it. They have a lot of good beans. They, they're able to kind of grow that. And interestingly, I find it's actually, it's not that different from the tea culture sometimes. It's just kind of much smaller.
Yeah.
So like people will make it and it's like, it's expected like the host will be making the coffee for you and talking with you. In China, if you go to a tea market, it's not about like, here's the tea, boom, pour, and then you drink it and then I'm on my phone. Like it's very much like this. It's like, let's talk about it while we're making it and why did I choose this one and why did I choose that one? And so that, I like that kind of tea culture element to the coffee scene in Beijing, and in Shanghai there's a lot. In Taiwan, there's like more coffee shops than like anywhere. So it's like, I think they did a thing that there are more cafes in Taiwan per square meter than anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
So like there's a lot of cafes and many of them have coffee and they also have tea. So it's an interesting mix. Is it like that? What's the coffee scene like in India? Do you have any idea?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Because we have like a very, like the northern part drinks more tea, the southern part drinks more coffee on average. Like don't take that as gospel.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we have a huge coffee scene in general. Like people drink instant coffee all the time, everything. But specialty is incredibly massive. We have one that started around the same time as Starbucks in India. And that's expanded like crazy. It just got like a $250 million valuation. And that's specialty.
Yeah.
Like we have some of the best coffee in the world because the southern part of India makes a lot of coffee and exports it out to like other countries, either for specialty or even if it's just for like
regular use,
or even for like industrial use for like Coca-Cola and things like that. But we have a lot of coffee production in addition to tea.
That's cool.
So
do people fight also? Like, is it like either your coffee or your tea, or are people?
no, people are a bit more because like tea is just so ingrained in society. At least for me, I'm from North India.
Yeah.
So it's people fight more about how they make the tea or how they make the coffee more than like tea
That's
or
good.
coffee.
I like that. I like that way of doing it.
Because like tea is more like black tea. It's more like the masala chai.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's just a bit more. People have more.
That's
things
like every day.
Yeah.
Every day. So I'm going to make one last steep of this. It's kind of getting a little bit lighter. The thing about the red oolong is that it doesn't have a ton of steeps. You can probably make. I think this is about the 7th or the 8th steep, and that's probably about all that we're getting out of it. But let's try. We can try the 5-time charcoal roasted one next if you
That
want.
would be awesome.
If Marissa, if you could get that one over there, and also we'll need the scissors to open up the bag inside because I don't think that one's open yet. The scissors are in the kitchen here, so yeah. So we're, and by the way, if you're just joining, we're in Rome here with tea friends from all over the world, Italian, Indian studying in Italia. We have a German friend who's here on vacation, but just happened to be here at the right time for the meetup. I'm going to be going to Hamburg and Berlin on this trip, which will be fun. What part of Italy? I mean, from Germany are you from?
I'm from Leipzig.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So the there's so many places in Germany. Like everybody's like, come to Dresden, come to Frankfurt. I would love to go. I'm already going to be doing like 9 cities in 30 days or something crazy like that. So, but for the future, I mean, once we get the warehouse open, this is an excuse for me to come to Europe once a year. This will be great. Maybe even more.
Do you know already when you will be in Berlin?
I think we're gonna be in Berlin on like the 11th through the 14th or something like that. So if you're in Germany, for anybody who's watching now from Europe that would like to come to one of the meetups, I think I'm going next, I'm gonna be in Florence and Venice, although I'm not doing meetups there because I'm seeing friends and making videos. And then in Copenhagen, we're going to be doing a meetup, in Hamburg, in Berlin. From then, we're going to go to Amsterdam, and then hopefully I'll have time for Brussels and Paris, and then we're going to end the trip in London. And I believe we're pretty sure we're going to hit up Oxford now as well, so that should be good. So here's the 5-time charcoal roasted. So this is a fun one. Why don't you bring the teapot over, the tall boy? This is in the Taiwan oolong box, and the story of this is really fun because when I was in Taiwan getting the teas for the sampler, I ran across this family that is one of the last people in Taiwan that still does the traditional charcoal roasting.
Okay.
So what they do is they take wood from the longan tree, the longyan, I think it's the longan, and it's a type of wood that apparently it burns very evenly, like the heat is very smooth. And then they take the charcoal, they heat up the charcoal and light it, and then they cover it with ash. And then the ash, you can add ash if you want to reduce the heat, or you can take away ash if you want to increase the heat. And then they have these big bamboo holders that have mesh underneath, like a wire mesh. They put the tea on that and they smooth it all out, and then they roast it for 8 hours. And so every 20 minutes or so, they change the tea. After 8 hours of that, they take it off and it has to rest for 2 or 3 days. And then they put it back on. And then it depends how many roasts you want to do. So we have a 2-time and a 5-time roast in the Taiwan oolong box. And this is the 5-time. So this takes like a whole month to make. It's the most expensive one in the box. I think it's like $32 or $33 US. Or maybe it was like 38. How much does this cost on the site? I did the math once of seeing how much it cost me. But it's like it's expensive, but it's kind of a unique sort of tea. So this will be a good one to have while everybody is here. You guys came all the way. You came all the way on the train to get here. Where are you from originally, and how did you get here?
Frosinone.
Okay, very cool. So how long was it on the train to get here?
It's 1 hour and something, and 30 minutes to walk.
I had too much.
Oops.
Oh, well, it's gonna be strong. There we go. So if hopefully that'll be okay. Well, this is also a good sign of the test of the tea, because if it's not good tea and you put in too much, it gets really bad really quickly.
Okay.
So if I put in too much and it's still good, that's a lot. Okay, well, it's gonna be a lot.
Fingers crossed.
Normally at home I have like a tea scoop, and it's a little bit easier to figure this out. And why don't we reheat this up to boiling so we can get the full experience.
Usually when you're making tea, like for example, when I'm making coffee, like ratios are super important. You know, it's like 19 grams to these many ml of water, blah blah blah. Do you practice something similar when it comes to tea, or not really?
So it's interesting. It's a good question. I think that if you wanted to spend that energy on it, you could. Where's your cup? Here's this here. I'll give you the rest of that. But it really is like, I've drunk tea all over China in many different provinces with many different people. No one ever used a scale. No one ever used a timer. No one ever, it's very much sort of a feel sort of thing, which is why I'm like, oh, that's too much. That's more than I would normally put. But it's all adjustable. So if you have more tea, you have a shorter steep time.
Of course, yeah.
If you have, if the tea is too strong at 100 degrees, I can't take tea out.
Of course, yeah.
So I'm gonna reduce the temperature maybe to 90 degrees. So normally you have this, this tea style is called Gung Fu tea. So Gung Fu means skill. Gung Fu is also the same word as Kung Fu. So it's Kung Fu tea. But but Gung Fu directly translated means skill. So if somebody's really good at something, you'd say, oh, he has Kung Fu. Oh, he has skill. So part of the skill is how much tea do you want to put in? Sometimes if you go to a store in China, or if you go to the tea mountain, they put tons of tea in there because they want to show you a couple things. One is they want you to have a really big flavor.
Yeah.
So they don't want to put like just a little in there and then you think the tea is light. Actually, it's not light at all. It's just kind of, you didn't put enough in.
Yeah.
And then secondly, if the tea is really good, it will be able to withstand there being too much tea or whatever.
Of course.
So, but especially if you have a lot of tea like this, makes it even more important to make sure you have a pitcher ready. Because now that we have a lot of tea in there, I'm going to want my steep time to be shorter, and I'm going to want to make sure that it gets out of the teapot, so it's not just sitting in there. Yes,
So we
question.
have two questions.
Yeah.
One is a short answer, one is a longer answer. One is anybody thinking about the tiny clay chick that's having its own tour of Italy?
There we go.
Here he
Nugget.
is.
He's right here. We have an episode of him visiting the Vatican City, which hasn't come out yet.
He had a great time though.
He had a great time.
And the other question is, I remember one video where you took mountain water from a stream for tea. Any natural or untreated water sources that you would use on this trip?
Yeah, so there are the public water fountains all through Rome,
Yeah.
which is really cool, and I've been stooping to drink from them. And tomorrow, hopefully, I'm going to take some water from those and drink tea at the Trevi Fountain, which will be really fun. So like that's my personal take. Is that safe to drink? It's got to be safe, right?
It's
Yeah, it's all
safe,
public.
safe.
Yeah.
They built it like 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like if it didn't kill people then, well, I guess technically everybody that drank from them is dead, but it probably wasn't the water. So we're definitely gonna do that. Smell that. So
Wow.
that's your coffee kind of smell right there,
That
right?
is incredible. It's hot.
Yeah. So the
I have a
how would you
question.
describe? How do we I want to hear their description of the smell.
Once more?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's literally seeing the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
like
can taste
Smell it
it's
with roasting.
Very ashy.
yeah,
A little nutty almost.
yeah.
Yes. And a little bit of sweetness.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It's really, so this is, this 5 times charcoal roasted is very unique. Even in Taiwan, that's a lot of roasting.
Yeah.
Usually, the regular roast, we have the 2-time roasted, that's kind of more normal. Even 1-time roasted would be somewhat normal. Once you get above 2 or 3 times doing the roasting, it gets a little bit unusual.
Yeah.
And then also because it's charcoal roasted, it really has that kind of smell to it. Yeah, right? So this will be fun. I like this tea a lot.
For something that's so intense, like how many times would you say is like how many times could you steep it?
So
On
it'll
average.
I'd say on oolong, you're generally looking at 5 to 8 steeps.
Okay.
Just generally. But some will go a little bit more. And of course, it depends on how light you like your tea at the end of it.
Of course.
And it depends on the size of the vessel. I'd say 5 to 8 steeps in there. So I'd say if we get 5 good pots out of it like this, that's kind of what we're looking at.
Okay.
It also depends on how strong you like it. So this first steep, I didn't put it for that long.
Yeah.
Partially because, again, this is part of the skill. But I got 5 people. I'm like, I have a bigger pot, so I can kind of give it a similar steep to what I would do in there, but it's going to be a little bit lighter, but I have more tea in there. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of always doing this balancing of how to get this done. If I were next to my water boiler where I could make sure it was at 100 degrees the whole time, that'd be one thing, but I'm like, okay, but the last steep, it sat there, so the water is probably more like 92 or 90.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of always trying to change the steep time based off of these things. And again, I think the thing with the tea is, I think it is a little bit different from coffee. Like, I think of it more of like the tea will have a different personality if I steep it longer versus shorter. It'll have a different personality if it's hotter versus colder. So cheers. Here we go. Some for this. There we go.
Wow.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How would you guys describe this? The 5-time roasted.
Smoky for sure.
Yeah. Smoky and the smell it's like coffee
Mm.
It's for coffee.
and the flavor is smoky.
Yeah. This is definitely, if you're a coffee drinker, I would recommend this tea. I think it's good for the coffee drinkers that are interested in tea. But so one of the things that the farmers that I was working with and Uncle Leo, who does the roasting, he's like, when you do the roasting, a sign that it was roasted well is that it has a really intense smell and the smoky flavor, but it doesn't taste burnt.
Yeah.
it actually
Yeah.
tastes really smooth and
Yeah.
still like you can still taste the sweetness of the tea.
Exactly.
That's a nice mouthfeel.
Yeah, the mouthfeel is good. It doesn't taste like I don't actually
No,
like.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, if it was burnt, you would be like, oh, I don't want to drink it. So
Yeah.
we got lots of questions I see in the thing. Any of these worth picking up?
Some of the people are just chit chatting with each other.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, feel free to hang out. If you guys are having tea wherever you are, feel free to have tea.
Yes, I mean,
Mm.
it's almost coconutty at the end. It's
Mm.
like a
Yeah, there is a little
Yeah.
yeah.
kind of nice.
If you smell the
Coconut.
cup afterward, it smells just like fresh coconut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but like that smells like coffee, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. I'm not an expert in coffee, but I'm guessing a lot of the coffee smell comes from the roasting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So like, it's like it makes sense that if you roasted the tea,
Like,
you know,
not roasted coffee, like light roasted
yeah,
beans of coffee. It's like more chocolate flavor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's more chocolate,
Yeah.
more floral.
so very cool. What about people in the? We'll do a couple more people from the chat. We have a couple more minutes left in the. We're recording a podcast here as well, so. This is the thing about trying to make a living doing social media. It's like you don't actually get paid for anything. So you're like, let's have a meetup and let's do a live stream and let's do a podcast, and then that way kind of get everything in at once. And I would rather do that and keep this free,
Yeah.
like not charge you guys and just like have a good time than like, you know, because I was thinking about it when I was doing this tour, like should I try to rent a space and charge everybody 88 euros per meetup and have a tea tasting and make it like official. I'd rather have people over and just like chill, and then we'll
Yeah.
find a way for you guys on the internet to support us. If you don't know, Jesse's Tea House, jessie'steahouse.com. Actually, just see a thing. I think we actually just got a sale here. So perfect. There we go. It's all working
I saw
out.
the shop.
It's all working out. But look at that color.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
So it's really getting open. I'll show you guys here. So this is that's a very that's like a very cool color to have an
Yeah.
oolong give out that color, especially an oolong that was like you know, it's not like a rock tea or anything like that. It's just like an Dongding oolong, like very dark.
I
color.
tasted one time roasting
Mhm.
Don Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the color is totally different.
Yeah. So that's also part of the things is sometimes people ask me questions like, how do you know this? How do you know that? And a lot of times it just comes down to like, I drink a lot of tea.
Yeah.
Like I've basically drunk tea every day for like 12 years. So, you know, sometimes it's not a different tea every day for 12 years, but when you know, especially if you go to, like if you ever get a chance to go to Taiwan, highly encourage you to go to Taiwan. Especially for Americans, and I think EU citizens, it's visa on arrival,
Yeah.
very easy. There's so much oolong there. So you could spend one day, you could easily go to 10 shops and drink oolong there in
Yeah.
the city. And then if you go to the mountains, it's a little harder to do many things in one day. But like the yes, question over here.
So
From the live stream.
one person commented that the water in Rome is really hard. There's a lot of calcium in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question that stems from that is, how do you deal with, like, what's the best water? Is there a best water?
That would explain what we're dealing
Yeah,
with here.
yeah, yeah.
So I there's kind of two answers to that question. Like one answer is like if you have like water that is like completely demineralized, sometimes you can have no flavor in the tea. You need a little bit of something in there, like filtered water or like you know, in Los Angeles, I have a service. It's like delivery water, like for an office building, like those
Yeah.
giant, like, you know, things of water.
The reverse
Yeah.
osmosis.
Reverse osmosis can be good for like very light, like lighter teas,
Okay.
where like, you know, having a problem with the water would be very clear.
Yeah.
Like with this hard water, I think I'd be more likely to drink a tea like this and less likely to drink a very light green tea.
Yeah.
But the bigger answer, I think, is like, we got people from all around the world that are having tea with us here. I'm in Rome for the first time. We're sharing a good
Yeah.
time here. I'm gonna drink what we have. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not going to be like trying to get that last 5 to 10% of the flavor
Yeah.
out by having the perfect water. To me, is less important than like having good people around.
Yeah.
You know, enjoying the time. You know, I do know people that have like, I had a Chinese friend of mine once who was also a tea person,
Yeah.
and he came from like a rich family, so they had just like time and money to do anything. He's like, Jesse, we should go to the Himalayas and like get the fresh snow water from like the top of the mountains and sit there and drink the tea. I'm like, that's great. If you're paying for me to go do that,
Right.
I will go with you to the Himalayas and drink the tea. But like you don't need to do that to have
Of
good
course,
tea.
yeah.
I think that it is useful though that if you have a filter, like if I had a time or if I lived in Rome, to get either filtered water or to be able to take the tap water and run it through like a Brita filter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have those here, but
Yeah.
like, you know, that sort of thing, it would be good. Another question. Yeah.
Does the tall boy teapot hold on to any smoky smell? This eclectic trash has been trying to keep it to just white tea, but you know previously that you mentioned it doesn't need to be dedicated to one type. Does it hold on to any scents or?
It's sort of a similar answer. So I've been using this guy for how long now? Like we got the samples from Doi Doi in like March or something like that. So I've been using it for half a year and I've been using it with many different teas. I haven't tasted like, oh, I can't use this with something else because I already used something. It's not, it's made of clay, but it's not made of like the purple clay, like the Zisha. The purple clay pots are actually not even clay, it's rock, it's mineral, it's ground up. And that mineral is very porous. This is more porous than the porcelain, but it's not so porous that you're gonna ruin your pot by mixing tea types. That being said, if I had 6 of them or whatever, I would definitely have a dedicated pot for each one because one, why not? It will absorb some flavor. And then also I just like the idea of having a different pot for different teas. It's like, it's fun, it's a good reason to make the tea this way or that way. It kind of shows the skill again of, you come to my place for tea hosting and wow, this guy has a pot for every different tea. That's really cool. So I would say like, sometimes my answers for this are less about doing it perfectly and more about like, you know, I definitely don't want anyone going onto YouTube or TikTok or whatever and then being like, oh, I can't do tea unless I have a different pot for every tea, which is not true. That being said, if you knew that you were definitely going to be mixing lots of different flavors, maybe a porcelain pot is not a bad idea because a porcelain is not going to absorb any of the flavor because it's not porous, it's high fired, or high fired porcelain is going to be very smooth. But I think that it's okay to be able to mix teas with this pot. But if you do have the one tea in the pot, that's cool. I like that. We're still getting a lot of good color out of that. Very, very nice color.
It's developing almost like a tobacco-y flavor now.
How do you guys like this? As the tea continues to progress, how are you guys?
It's really maturing well.
Yeah. Good one there.
Also, one more thing for the water. Like, I don't know if it's similar because, I mean, like I mentioned, I'm also like a huge coffee fanatic. But just talking to like a lot of the baristas, for like cold brews which require a lot of steep time, things like that, they recommend this brand called Levissima. Levissima, that's how you say it. Yeah. When you're in Italy, so like you can get it in any grocery store. It's like extremely cheap. But if you ever want to get like water with like a decent amount of minerals, not like hard calcium centric water, that's a good one.
Yeah. What's it called?
Levissima. I can text it to you.
Yeah, text it to me here. It'd be good for if you're in Italy, Levissima. We have a water recommendation.
Exactly.
But I think it's cool. I mean, there's also like, as I said, like I made I made tea with water from different like mountain streams and stuff like that. The general idea is you want flowing water so it's not going to get you sick. You want flowing water that's from a part of the stream that it's deep enough that it's not going to be getting sand or anything like that from the bottom, and then boil it, obviously. But when I tried that water, it was much better than the water I was getting from the tap in Tennessee when I was on vacation there. Especially the other thing about the water is that the lighter the tea is, the more the water is going to really make a difference. So if you're drinking like a really dark cooked pu'er, it's probably not going to matter as much as if you're drinking a very delicate green tea or like a silver needle white tea or something like that that's like very, very light.
No, fair enough.
So it's but my main philosophy, and this is definitely more philosophy than science, is like if the water quality and your worries about the water is stopping you from drinking tea, it's not that important. It's not important to the point where you're like, I can't drink tea because I live in Rome. Like, no,
Of course,
not at all. So like, and I think like sometimes on the internet, it's like, this is one thing I dislike about the internet and the food culture on the internet is like, in order to get hits, you need to come up with something crazy headline, like this water sucks. Like, okay, like, is it not as good? Maybe, I don't know. But like, a lot of times people are like, oh, like I can't cook a steak unless it's like 2 fingers thick or whatever. Like, no, just cook your food. Like, you know, like do the best you can with what you have, and it's like, it's gonna be fine. We're all gonna live.
Yeah, it's only for like the last leg if you want to unlock it.
Yeah. And so I think that like, if you were like, you know, if I were like working with a fancy hotel, and we're like, what water should we serve? Now that's when we should think about it.
Exactly.
Like that's when I was like, you know, you are in the service industry and you really want to do it well. That's the right question to ask. Let's get the exact type of water that really makes sense. Can we re-boil this up for the last?
I might change out the water.
Yeah, change out the water and reboil. You can reboil half a pot, and we can leave this here if we have any questions
Wanted
over
to know
here.
about other red teas.
Question? Oh no, I went off of my stream and I'm back on. Very cool. Very cool. Lorenzo Gianluca says, I have to say I tried Dragon Well green tea, and with the green tea with the Roman water, the flavor is a bit covered by the hardness of the water, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that's you know, what was the name of the tea? The water?
Levissima.
Levissima. So Lorenzo, try the Levissima.
I don't know about for tea, but I can recommend it for coffee for sure.
Yeah. So that'll be good. But I think that the yeah, so I think that that's a good one. So anyway, we're probably about yeah, we hit 40 minutes here. I don't want to spend the entire time on live stream. We got real people here hanging out. So, but I do want to thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for showing up to the Rome tea meetup.
Thank you for organizing it.
You know, it's super fun. I mean, for me, my favorite way of traveling is to actually be able to meet like people in the place. You know, obviously I went to take all the pictures and do all the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's actually good to meet with people that actually live here. And hopefully for you guys that are watching at home or that are watching this live stream later, just we're opening up a warehouse in the EU. The goal is to open in November. It may bleed over into the beginning of December if everything goes badly. We're still working on the details of sending everything over. And apparently the war in the Middle East delayed all the shipping because they can't use the Suez Canal anymore.
Yeah.
So the so we're looking actually at putting it on a train across Siberia to get the tea here. But we have it all wrapped up in plastic and we have everything like, you know, we're taking care of it. There's going to be no Siberia flavor in the tea.
Hey, maybe Siberia ages is treating.
Yeah, I don't know. It's dry. It's very dry. But yeah, so we're opening up that warehouse and hopefully this holiday season, if you guys are interested in getting good tea stuff, tea equipment, tea pots, tea pets, it's all going to be on jessieseahouse.com. We can ship now to Europe as well. It just means you'll have to pay customs fees and stuff like that. Whereas after we get it from the EU and UK, you won't pay any custom fees. You'll just pay VAT like normal.
Yeah, is there going to be I don't know if you've done the calculations, but is there like a huge difference now compared to someone buying it with that being customs?
Yeah, it can be quite big. Okay. Like we've had people. Well, there's 2 problems to it. One, the shipping is more expensive. So even
it's individual.
It's all coming from America now. And also, unfortunately, that means that the European customers kind of pay for shipping twice because they have to pay for me to ship it to America and then ship it to here. But it's also illegal to ship one tea thing at a time in a package from China to anywhere else. Although I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we don't do that. And then the second thing is the customs can be very high in some countries. Everywhere in the EU is different. Yeah. And mostly it's just like, I've heard people get surprised. They're like, I didn't know that I had to pay customs because it wasn't on the website. And it's in the FAQ, but I understand, it's confusing. I don't want you to pay anymore, but this is beyond my control. Different countries, different items. Like some places they tax the porcelain but not the tea. Yeah. Some places the tea is taxed. And also some countries, like you have to call the customs to let them know that you have a package. Like they don't call you. And so we've had situations where it gets shipped back to America because people didn't know they had 4 days to talk to the customs before they ship it back or destroy it. It's horrible. Like, I wouldn't get into tea if it was this hard.
Yeah.
So it's like, so thank you to all the European customers that have dealt with this so far, but we're working to try to avoid that. It's just sort of like a tea thing. Like, if I were hosting a tea session, I wouldn't like charge the Americans one thing and then charge the Europeans a second thing. Like, I'd like to just make it easy. So we're working very hard on that, and hopefully this is going to be like a plan for many years going forward, because we probably are not going to earn all the money back in year one, even if we make the holiday season. It's like, it's been very expensive to figure out all the paperwork and the regulation and the testing. The testing itself costs some money, but more importantly, we have like 3.5 people on this project for months. And then the consultants we hired to like teach us that we need to have like like 4 languages on the label, and have special labels for the EU and special labels for the UK. And like, you know, when I get to Hamburg, I'm gonna do a podcast with David, who's a tea follower and is a part-time employee of the tea house in Germany, who has been helping organize this whole process. And we're gonna talk about all the regulatory stuff, which I don't know if anybody cares about it, but I have to tell somebody or else I'm gonna go mad. This is in my head every day. So, but the goal is that we'll be able to make that all easier for everybody. And I think it'll be worth it, because tea is something where it's like, you want to be able to just relax and have the tea time. You don't want to worry about, am I getting a fake product because I bought it on Amazon, or am I getting like, you know, and don't buy tea on Amazon, because it's like the people who are selling on Amazon know that the Western tea market knows nothing. And that's why they put that tea on Amazon. If it was good enough to sell in China, they'd be selling it in China, and they wouldn't be dealing with all of this headache of exporting it. So it's basically only the tea that can't get sold in China that finds its way up onto the Western big platforms. And I'm sure that there are, like, definitely not the only person who's going to have good tea in Europe. You know, continue to look and experiment with whoever you think has good tea. But I really think that once we get all those papers done and we have everything open, that like this, I don't know if you can find that anywhere else in Europe where we're having it today. So this is going to be a good time. So. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching on the live stream, and thank you so much for listening on the podcast, and thank you again so much to our friends who came to the Rome meetup. I'm Jesse, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, great. Awesome, cool. Can you save that and name it, and then share it to Stone?
Yes.
So we can release that this coming cycle.
Okay.
Whatever the next audio podcast thing is. And then thank you guys so much. We're gonna see you guys around as well. I'm gonna head off here because we have like real people here, so we can hang out.
And the water
Sounds good. Awesome. Have a good one. See you guys around. Bye bye.